story. The case of the wandering chunk covered many miles in this strange case without turning up a solid lead or clue. This mystery had the authorities baffled, not to mention certain people of the audience. The interrogation of Edie McVeigh and Nick Niagara had turned up nothing. Neither of them recalled steamer trucks being on the trunk at the time. Edie did recall a peculiar odor being on the trunk, but believed it had something to do with Nick's socks. In the meantime, Detective Goodman and Inspector Banham spent many a long night over donuts and coffee, pondering this perplexing case of impervious platitudes.
So, no one knows a sip about our trunk. Is that it?
Well, apparently not. At least nothing we can get from her. Someone, somewhere, isn't telling us the truth.
But as we all know, the truth is out there.
Alright, let's go over it all again. A, we have a dead investigative journalist, Mr. Howard Pepper, who was murdered, then put in the back of a police car.
Which was, of course, found at the return location of the U-Do-It truck rental company in Columbus. Unfortunately, both workers are checked out. Despite a few outstanding parking tickets, they're harmless. Oh, and another thing, an Ignatius clam drove it here.
He may or may not have been transporting illegal vending machines from Katy City to here. The rental people here don't know nothing except the trunk was supposedly lost.
And the supposedly lost rental trunk wasn't lost, it was lent. Lent out to some loungers who claimed they only had a couple of suitcases, 2 turntables, and a microphone.
Edie McVeigh and Nick Niagara claim they never used the cargo section of the truck, nor did they even look in there. For all we know, the trunk was already there when they rented it from Dubois.
And Dubois and Ursula Knoll claimed they only had 7 trunks when they left New Orleans, which turns out with our agents in New Orleans. The truck number 9 was cleaned before Madden Dubois turned.
So, they're sure.
Positive. When I say clean, I mean literally. Truck number 9 was washed, scrubbed, and cleaned before Madden Dubois took it up. The trunk only appears in between here and there.
You mean it's gotta be Dubois? Either that or someone slipped them an extra trunk when they were looking.
May I point out at this point that we should dismiss extraterrestrial involvement in this case?
Agent, do not start.
Come on, Solon, look at the facts. No one knows anything about this truck. It seemed to appear. Well, maybe that's because it did. Maybe this Howard Pepper guy was out on some lost highway
And he stumbled upon a UFO landing site. He went in to get a better look, and they discovered him. For good measures, erased his memory, poisoned him, stabbed him, shot him, and stuffed him in a rental truck and put him on the passenger rental truck, huh?
It could happen.
Oh yeah, and monkeys will fly out of my nose.
I believe we need to look at the actual facts more closely. I'm under the assumption that there are some kind of clues hidden within the trail.
Clues? What clues? I don't see any clues. Do you see any clues? Because I don't see any clues. Knock knock. Who's there? No clues.
Yes, we all know. But let's look at the murder victim, the late Mr. Howard Pepper. We know the investigative stories he was working on were confined to this region. This, of course, was confirmed by the notes we found on his body and by the editor of the paper. On the other hand, though, we have no confirmation that he traveled from 1 Phoenix City, 2 New Orleans, or 3 Auburn. That, of course, narrows it down. So whatever happened must have happened around here.
So maybe the murderer committed the crime here, and with good hopes that it would end up some far, far distant city such as
Sheboygan! Sorry, but it's fun to say.
So what you're saying is, someone intended for the trunk to end up as far away from here as possible, in hopes that it would never be traced back to the original location?
right, as far away as the murder scene as possible.
So, it was a stroke of bad luck that it ended up coming back here?
But we can't ignore the possibilities that the killer, or killers, for goodness sake, are not from this area. Precisely! I'm betting that they're from the Galactic Galaxy and the Empire That's how I was kidding.
nothing.
Was
Nah,
there
zero.
anything else?
Well, there's one more interesting find. There's a message.
What?
A message.
Someone's tried to scratch a message on the underside lid of the trunk.
Well, what did the message say?
Well, they believed it was an A and C.
A and C.
Not an INC?
A and C. Great.
Well, before you say anything, Agent, AC doesn't mean alien contact.
I wasn't even knowing it.
Good. And there's one more interesting find. The victim, he was a theatrical critic.
Oh, great. That's just wonderful. It increases the size of suspects up to the size of, oh, I don't know, a football field.
Actually, I think it might narrow down our list a little bit.
You
You
said-
did say theatrical critic.
Look, does anyone want to know what I think? I think we need to extradite all the accusers here. Put all the shiny happy faces up under the light and see what they really have to say.
Well, actually, I've already seen it that.
You have.
I put through the necessary paperwork and had everyone that was connected with our trunk extradited to our fair city. In fact, they should be arriving downtown anytime now.
Then what are we standing around here for? Let's go.
Okay.
Any thoughts on the whole thing, Agent?
Well,
That don't have anything to do with little green men or alien cover-ups.
I have a few ideas, a few normal ideas.
Really?
Yes. I think that our reporter was something out of something big. Whether it was the highway story or the gambling thing, I think it was something big. I think AC's the answer. If we can find out what that means, I think we'll have a solid answer.
But what does AC mean? Alien contacts, alien communication, callings?
I think it's something more obscure. Maybe AC were only the first two letters. Maybe he didn't finish. Maybe that's all he had time to scratch. Anyways, we'll just discuss it on the way down to the station.
Okay.
By the way, there's some friends on